Hi everyone, it's Plesky P here with a fantastic Spencer Drate coming in from New York. And Spencer, we've got some fantastic guests today on Interviews Down Under. I'll let you do the introduction.
Yeah, we're going to talk today about our latest album that I worked on with Judith Keith Carter and her son Justin Kavoussi, and it's called Keith Cook's Rock and Roll Riot album, which we've entered in the Making Vinyl show this year, and also it'll be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame archival collection, which is quite a big honor. So I want to start off by maybe just getting right into the whole grid of it. I was listening to Keith Cook on the internet, and we just hooked up, and I heard the music. And I said, wow, this is really a crazy album. Usually we get confronted with different musicians, but this was really an incredible album. It was old recordings with members of the Stooges, the sax player, and Nirvana, and a couple other groups. Early recordings by Keith Cook with them, and compilated. And so I saw a really good interest in this. For some bizarre reason, sometimes the elements just fit together like this. And I told Judith. She said the great remark, Justin, you'll love this. She said, this is not my cup of tea, but this is a great album. So when Judith says that, that's even better. You know what I mean? It's not her cup. So anyway, starting in, we had to get a concept, and this was kind of a fun trip. I had seen a picture of literally a head with headphones on. And for some reason, it hit a light bulb, because first of all, it's a simple picture of anybody's head with headphones. But the crazy thing about it is, it doesn't. This is right. It's never been used on an album cover, and I saw it placed in the realm of what we're doing for some bizarre reason. I just had to get it with an artist who would make this picture into something real and driving image-wise. And also it expresses the sound of the album. That's the whole important double thing about it. It's not only a strong image. And so we hired Keith Carter, who had been profiled in our creative comics book, and he did the cover actually for the book. And I thought it'd be top quality type thing, coming out, and he would do a good job, and he did a great job. I mean, and if you see the great image with no type on the front, we wanted to make sure this artwork wasn't, infringed on at any point. So we had a sticker put on the shrink wrap, which I don't have, but it's literally just a sticker to rip off the shrink wrap, and you're left with this great image. The back is this famous, I don't know if you can see, it's like a hand image.
Yep, we see it. Looks great.
Yeah, kids use this at concerts. It has a meaning of like rock, sort of a rock meaning. And so I said,
a salute. Looks fantastic. Yeah. But I just want to say, I love the version, but look at this one, Spencer. Here's the big version for everybody out there. Look at that impact. And look at that. It's like something you've never seen in your life. And it's got that kind of shock factor. And I'll be quite honest with you, Spencer, those headphones look a bit like yours.
So, Keith, talk about a little bit. You're the famous artist, and I think you did a fantastic job. Tell us about, your approach to it,
Yeah, when he sent me that, he sent me an image, and I knew that he wanted me to do some time a comic book thing, because that's what he knows me for. I've done other styles, but he only really knows me for that comic book style that I did with him. And at the time, I was thinking about a couple of different artists that had a very underground alternative look. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Daniel Clowes or Charles Burns, and there's another guy.
Charles Burns,
Yeah, another guy named Mitch O'Connell. And when I think about their underground alternative look, they still have a very commercialness to their approach. And so that's what I kept thinking when I was putting this together. As a matter of fact, I think the whole thing is like an homage to those guys because I'm a big fan of those guys, and that was kind of the look I was going for.
Mm. Well, you really
I didn't want it to look Marvelized. I didn't want to look like a DC comic or Marvel comic because that would be too superhero, too commercial. But this still kept a underground feel to it.
Yeah, and you know, when Keith Cook, he was asking me about the cover, he said, "You'll love this, Keith." He said, "Or Justin, you'll love this." He said, "You know, do you have any other ideas? Any other ideas?" And I said, "No, this is it." I never did that before, except for the Fabulous Thunderbirds. When I had this piece of artwork, and Judith knows the story, we pushed it on them and they used it. But this is what it was. I felt this was it. I mean, I couldn't even think of another solution that would hit it. And what you did, Keith, has also made it an amazing impact type piece of art. So it's striking if you go to what you call the record rack and look at the albums, you'll go right through it and boom, it'll hit you right in the face. But I think what's really important also is it tells about the sound of the album. A lot of covers don't do that, and there's extraordinary artwork on covers. But this really says what the album is. It's very loud. It's hard rock, you know, and you really hit it on the head. Also, the colors. Your colors you use were amazing. And I love the background that you did also, Keith, you know.
Well, you know, when I first heard the album, they sent me some clips. It really did remind me of punk meets heavy hard rock meets insanity. I mean, it was just like, what the heck is this? But the thing about the colors is that when I was working at USA Today, they kind of started mainstreaming the color design, and they started to use just one color to direct the eye. And so I started using that in my illustrations and my animations, and I found it had a much more powerful approach because you have things that's so colorful, but when you have a black and white with gray tones and one color, it really impresses. Your eye goes right to where that color is. So if you want to convey information or you're going to convey, you know, subject matter you want the eye to follow, then just make that one color. So that kind of has been an approach I've been doing for years now, is this one color illustrations, but I felt it's very powerful.
Yeah, it definitely came across. You hit the nail on the head, as the expression goes. I mean, I can't tell you how happy we all are about this. And the record company really liked it. And after I told Keith, he was kind of surprised that I'm not going to give him another solution. But when he saw it, first of all, he went back on it. You know, he didn't know how to deal with it, but now he loves it. You know, he told me the record label loves it. Everybody, I like it. You know, great job and the whole thing, which makes me very happy that the client really likes the end result, and you help obviously make that happen. So after the cover, we went into added a one sheet, which actually Keith was thinking about doing with the album, Keith Cook. So the one sheet was a big factor in this thing. We have all the copy and the legal line and the pictures of the people involved on the album on one side, and we have like a poster. The hand is repeated again, as almost like you take it out, put it on the wall type thing idea. You know, I thought was really good. Justin had a lot to play on the compilation of this one sheet also, and he really made it into something, especially the pictures, all the text matter. It's part of the amazing design of this thing. Justin, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I feel like we had a lot of the parameters set. We wanted to use these images of the band, and it was it was really a collaboration, teamwork. It was working with my mom and Spencer, kind of on either side of me, and we were just trying out different things. And they've been doing. I grew up around this kind of stuff. They've been designing album covers since I was since I was a baby, and so. I work mainly in video. I do a lot of digital stuff, but it was really it's like taking a class. You sit with two people who are masters at this, and they're like shooting ideas at you, and then you're trying to navigate that and communicate with that. And things got a little heated at times. One person would want to try one layout and be like, "No, we're not doing that." I'm like, "Let's just try it out. Let's see." And kind of all together, we eventually came to, I think, a pretty nice design in there.
Yeah, I think what goes on here is all the continuity. Out of Keith Carter's green, as you notice, we put the green on the background. It plays with the black and white photographs really well. And I'll go into the next phase, which was the record label, which is on a neo green record. Oh my God, this is really. And also, if you notice, the artwork is black and white. And that really is an incredible trip that Keith Carter did, changing the visual to a black and white. So when you put that on this green, neon green record, it's amazing. The thing that's, there are no rules to this album. I'll tell you why. If you notice on the song stack, usually you get side one, side two. But in this case, we said, wait a minute, I'm going to do a cutting edge thing. Instead of side one, side two, I'll put the pictures of the labels to the proper song stack side. And because the other thing great about the label is there's no copy on it. So it's strictly artwork. We wanted to make sure that Keith Carter's artwork was not infringed on through this whole thing. The back cover, even on the album cover of the hand, you know, it's just a little light copyright line. We had to put a stupid barcode in. You have to do that. But it looks really good, minimal. So all in all, the colors tied in, I felt, or we all felt, great execution by everybody. I'm so happy. As far as the budget went, we weren't paid like we normally do. But, you know, when you have a project like this, sometimes you kind of want to go for it. It's not like a $500 project, by the way, but still, it's okay. But, you know, we got okay, not great, okay money to make us feel comfortable, but it wasn't what we wanted. But you know what? It was worth it to do because of the product. And in the beginning, I did not know what's going to happen. You know, it's like when I worked on Fear of Music, I had no idea it would be an iconic album like that. But, you know, it's like the same thing with this. You don't know until, you know, you go into it, get the pieces together. And I think we all did a great job on that. You know, we all did a great job on that. Very collaborative.
You don't find an album or a cover where as soon as you see it, bang, it's so striking that the image doesn't have to actually leave you. And to me, that's true pop art. I'm thinking in my head, gee, I love that. I love that green. That's like Green Hornet, you know, from the 60s, you know. It's got something there that image does not leave your head. It's stuck there. And the fact that you got on the outside of the album, then you pull out the green record, and there's that image again without the green, just the black. I mean, to me, that blows my mind just there.
Are you guys familiar with Mondo Records?
Not really.
Mondo's kind of like a movement. Justin, what about you? Are you familiar with Mondo?
I don't know if I've heard of Mondo Records, no.
Mondo, okay, they're not just a record. They design posters, they design covers, they design albums. And they have I mean, what we did there would fit right in Mondo because they designed it for the collectors. I mean, they're really high price albums, but they got these beautiful illustrations, beautiful packaging. I mean, it's a note that a lot of the musicians should take to because they're really taking things because they do it because they love it. But if you guys get a chance, check out Mondo products. And it's kind of like what we did reminds me of Mondo.
Well, you know what, Keith, you brought up a good point. I was thinking about the marketing right away. As soon as this image came, like that in a square, I said that'd be even cool on a black T-shirt or even a white T-shirt, you know, to do the image or baseball cap, even a little icon thing of the head, you know. I thought about that, Keith, and I said, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. I said, you know, it'd be great marketing to do those shirts, and I want you to get some money for that because that's a marketing trip.
I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't at some point if his album does well.
Yeah, we all hope for that, definitely. And I think it's kind of like this album. I think the minimal copy is a lot to do with the design. You know, in the old days, you had to put the legal line everywhere. You had to make sure that the type is on the cover, all this stuff. We eliminated all that because it's a new age now with design on albums and people cutting different corners, you know, and especially the legal line. And, you know, it's really great. The record company liked the ideas because Keith Cook had to go to the record company and said, well, we're going to do the record labels without any copy on it. In other words, normally you have a legal line at the bottom and a curve. You always see that. They said, okay. I mean, the idea that they went along with this, they could have said, no, we got to have the legal, but they didn't do that. So as we went along, these ideas came, they accepted everything. It was crazy. So I said, wow, you like to have clients like Keith Cook, and you also like to have a record company that sees the vision of what you're doing as a design or designers or artists like Keith Carter.
Well, it could be a possibility too, because the smaller labels don't have the budget to have an art director, and so they have to trust the people that they hire. So that's a big, big bonus.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Riot Records is in Australia. Plastic, it's in Australia. Riot Records. The album came out in October, and waiting for to hear the news of sale and stuff like that. It's just started. So we're kind of excited about that.
So what about Plastic EP? Since you're in Australia, have you seen the record in the stores?
Because of COVID, our stores have just opened up, let's say a few days ago. So what I'll do is I'll go to a couple of the big retailers and see if I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I always enjoy seeing, the product I've done in the shelf next to the other products to see how it measures up.
Okay, you called me up, and I said, I had to send you an extra copy, of course, but I didn't have many.
Oh yeah, thanks. I did get it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I wanted you to have that at least. God, I could spare that. But when you told me it was $40, in my head I said, "Wait a minute, this is crazy." I was thinking about it, so I went on the link and I saw $40, Keith. I flipped out. I said, "I've never heard of this." Right? I mean, this is not like a $40 book. It doesn't even compare. And it's, you're right, Keith. I mean, it's outrageous where this started. Of course, they're going to drop dramatically in about a month, I think. You know what I'm saying? It's got to.
Yeah, but record prices they're like designed now for collectors. Not just the general audience can afford to buy records.
Yeah, this is like the cover is really collectible. I mean, I always think of like, what's that cover with Weasel? The cover with the Weasel.
What the guy mustache? What's that dude's name?
Frank Zappa.
There you go, Frank Zappa.
Well, yeah, that cover is a classic with the Weasel. It's called Weasel or something. It's got the scratching his face. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I think your album cover is on par with that. I really do. It may sound really crazy, but I don't think it is crazy. I've judged so many shows with Judith, but it's on a par. It's a very high level cover, Keith. It really is.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm almost 60 years old. So you think about this point, I would have mastered my craft by this age, right?
Yeah.
I've been drawing this long. Hopefully something has risen to the top.
Well, Judith and I are working on a book project now. I can't really talk about it. We finally got it done. We've spent a lot of time. I've gotten away from plastic a little bit, but I'll get back on the groove again, plastic. When we all get together, I want to get back to you, Keith Carter, because I want you to get some work. And we'll go over your portfolio and, just make you happen, hopefully. You're a great artist. I mean, you have a lot of great stuff. The creative comic book, I don't have it in front of me, but that's a really great cartoon comic cover you did, front and back. I like the back cover as well as the front cover on that, because you did the black and white treatment, I think, on the back cover, and the front is all color, and you have this play, right?
In 2010 or 2009, I did some animated work that was in this film festival, and there was this guy that was there. His name was Gary Bieber. I didn't know him from anything, but he liked what I did. He said, "Oh, by the way, a friend of mine is working on a book on comic book artists. I bet you he would feature in that." I said, you always hear a lot of talk at these things. I said, "Well, I'll give it a shot. I'll give him a call." I sent him some clips. I was expecting him to look at it, and well, maybe we'll get back to you. He didn't even look at the clips. He said, "All right, you're in." I said, whoa, don't you want to see the clips? He says, "If Gary Bieber says you're good, you're in." Didn't he have to even,
Justin, your mom knows Gary Bieber in the past. He did some film work, actually. He actually did a film about a messenger, the life of a messenger in New York.
Bike messenger, yeah.
And actually, I get a bit part as opening the door to get a package, and your mom was in there sporadically. But Gary Bieber, we knew. That's interesting. I didn't even know you met him. That's an incredible story.
Yes, that's how we met. Was him
Wow.
telling me to send
How
stuff
you
to
like
him.
that? Wow. Wow, that's great. Look what you never know in life. I mean, and then we evolved to this album cover, Keith, after all that. I'm so happy with this cover. The other thing is I feel so gratified about it. It's not like a regular cover or an average cover. It's a really good cover. And you made it that way, Keith, and Justin and Judith. If you hear of us, obviously you and me. But it really becomes this thing that's, I mean, we're entering it in the illustration category in the Making Vinyl event this year. So that's another thing we're happy. That's the first entry. In this event, we've been judging every year. We're judging this year. But they have phenomenal covers in there. We put it in the illustration category, which it really belongs, because of what you did, Keith. We had like a change in the hair. That was one thing. The only thing I remember is the hair had to be spiked more. Other than that, what you gave literally was what it was.
It's true, man. It's pretty much what it was. Yeah, it's true. Which that's always a big plus for an illustrator, designer, is to really have, a place where you don't have so many cooks in the kitchen, so you can try to give it your best, and that's kind of what it was like. So I've been fortunate to have, with people that's just been less intrusive.
Well, that works with me and Judith too, and we've always talked about, we don't like if you're hired for design, you don't want people looking over your shoulder, changing this or that maybe, which would be a nightmare. We never had that, by the way. But you want to create, and you as an artist, the same thing. You don't want an art director to go over and say, change this, change that. Really, that's the only point I remember. And the other things we had to change, I think, the dot pattern, right, Keith?
For the production, what we found happening is because they would reduce them for these labels, and all these dots would create this moire pattern. So I thought, let's just remove the dots, so then they can make them big as small as they want, because that we wouldn't have to deal with that anymore. Because I didn't know how they were going to use it. So I designed it to be the size of a record. I didn't know they were going to design it to be this little thing. Yeah. So the dots messed that up.
That's a very good point. That's good. That's good information too for people out there if you're doing things like designing, because they're very important points to know about in the production. I think the level of stuff was and also I think we were talking about the green. At some point we said we got to knock up the green on the cover. Remember, Keith? Or Justin, the green's got to be knocked up, but they did that, I think, right, Keith? Are you happy with the green on it?
Yeah, and I think what happened in the beginning as well is because I've been working like Justin mostly on videos. I haven't done any illustration by hand in such a long time, so I'm not used to doing a print product. So everything I do is in RGB color. And now, do you know what that means, Plastic EP? What RGB is?
Yeah, that's like a high rate of color, isn't it?
Well, it's like digital colors versus print colors, which is CMYK. So CMYK colors is different than digital colors. Like the red I'm seeing right now on the screen is different if that was printed. And so I'm so used to seeing RGB, and so I designed the color RGB, and when I converted it to CMYK, it was so drastically different. I was freaking out because I didn't know it would be that different. That was a big learning experience for me, because I haven't worked in printing in a while.
I'll tell you something I want to talk about also is the fact that this project was very different for me and Judith. We've always been in line with the printer, for instance, from the beginning to the end. And this project, we had to go through Keith Cook, the artist, who would send messaging to the record label, who would send the messages to the printer. So this is like, you feel very alienated. In other words, in the beginning, we couldn't get sample covers of the printer, which we normally do, and look at what they do. So it's kind of like a little bit of a nightmare. And how do you communicate? Finally, along the line, I was able to talk to the record label a little bit. It wasn't a big thing, but it felt kind of funny not being in touch with the printer ourselves. And then you literally got to sit back. And I think we got one proof, right, Justin? We got one proof, or Keith, we got, I think, one color thing from them. That's it. But otherwise, you don't know. It's off the computer. You really don't see it, right, as it prints. So I was sitting back and saying, what the hell are they going to do with this thing? It's kind of like a nightmare what kind of printing. It came in beautiful, right? I mean, I think it really came in beautiful, right, guys?
I mean, to me, you're right. We just got a digital proof, but a digital proof does not show you what a printed proof looks like. And so you're at the mercy. I hope this is going to look right. It looks like it looks right on the screen, but that's still different from getting a physical proof in your hand.
I mean, we worked with an artist in Nashville. We worked with a printer in Nashville, Judith and I, and we actually got a sheet proof, to go off of, a sheet, which is normal a lot of times. Sometimes it isn't. We work with record labels that send you a thing on digital and boom. But we kind of like, if you look at it and it's okay, far out. But this was a special product, in my mind. And I kind of freaked out more about it because of the art. Everything is so beautiful. I mean, what are they going to do with the one sheet, for instance? How are they going to print that? But they put on a nice glossy stock. We told them about the green record was the other thing. We originally wanted a transparent green record, but what we got was a neon green, flat green. It worked okay, as far as I was concerned. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but it worked. It worked, I think, better actually with this green with the labels on it, Keith. With your labels on it, black and white.
So you asked them for a transparent green. That was I didn't realize that. Wow, I mean,
but that would be cool. But when I look at this record with your black and white art, it really is hot. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's almost like, and the green is so very vibrant. You take it out, it's very bright. And it plays along with the other greens going on the regular package that Justin and Judith and I worked on. So we didn't get crazy about it. But that's we asked for that originally, but.
Is a transparent green record cost more than a solid green?
No, not at all.
Okay.
In fact, when I got into this years ago, when I was thinking about color, Judith and I were thinking about color records, I had to search out the prices. Believe it or not, it's a better price than a black vinyl record, in fact. It's not, you figure it's more. There's more stuff going on. But I don't know, there's also, when you're dealing with special art on the record, which a lot of designers use designs on the record. That's a whole other ballgame. That probably is more expensive, but as far as color records, it's very common right now. So the prices are just in line with a black record, or maybe cheaper even, believe it or not, So that was interesting. But, the product came out great. God was good to us.
This product that you've made, as I said, it's something that's there. It's not going away. And it's not every day that you come up with something that sort of strikes gold and strikes a nerve in your brain when you see it. To get that visualization, that's not an easy thing, as you said, Keith. It's like you go for a dartboard and you get a bullseye. To me, that artwork is a bullseye. No question about it.
Yeah, and we had a lot of the other thing interesting are two things. One, we had a lot of time to work on it, which was great. I mean, it was relaxing, no problem with time. And the other thing, which is very big, I was reading a very big Billboard article, just got in the mail with the NARA's issue, a one page on vinyl. And they're talking about the resurgence and how it's so strong, vinyl sales, that they're actually bolstering the record album sales to knock artists like Lady Gaga and Paul McCartney into #1 slots. That's really amazing. And so I said, wow, this is really something. The influence of vinyl here is crazy right now. And also, the timing, they were talking about also about the thing I want to talk about is it takes a lot of time now to produce a record. Everybody's backlogged. A lot of these companies are really backlogged on printing albums. So you got to wait, sometimes 6 months for an album. So we had a lot of time in this. I think the regular schedule, though, was only 2 months. And these are printers in Germany. So we lucked out on that, I think. But we had a lot of time to work on it, right? Right, Justin? We had a lot of time to work on it.
Yeah.
Keith,
Well, I got to tell you, I go record shops quite a bit, and I always, look to see what's out there. And there's so many artists out there, so many great covers out there, but unless you're seeking them out, you never hear of them. It's only when the album becomes huge
Yeah,
then the album art travels with the songs and it becomes an icon. But
that's right.
if that doesn't happen, there's so much beautiful work out there no one will ever see. And I mean, the only reason I see it is because I look for cool things because I'm a collector. But yeah, there's a lot of beautiful illustrated albums
Yeah,
that
I
no
mean,
one's ever heard of.
you know, it's funny you said you're a collector. So am I. So I have a big LP just for the covers, and also a 45, a massive 45 collection. I went all over the world. I collected different, but graphics only. I didn't care about the record. But a lot of them cross over into groups that we all know. But it's like the thing that's important though. A lot of these covers are beautiful, but they don't tell you what's inside that package. And this cover does. If you look at that guy freaking out, he's listening to something. This is not a folk album, for instance. You know what I mean? He's telling you this is a loud album, something inside this package. Now, that is a big plus for us, which a lot of great album covers don't do. They're beautiful covers, but you don't know what's inside that album. And definitely you made it display that, and because it's a hard rock album, a lot of noise, you know, and this guy's freaking out. I mean, come on. But a lot of album covers are beautiful, and as a collector, you know, and I know, I have a lot of these, but a lot of them don't display what's inside that album, the sound or whatever, you know. So that's a big plus. It's doing two things: the visuality and the communication.
Big collector of records, and I found something in a record shop. If I tell you what it is, it's going to blow your mind. But I don't want to waste your time because I can only tell you it's a Beatle album,
Yeah.
their first album.
Oh,
And on the back, it's got a signature on it. And I don't know if that signature is real. If you want
wow.
to see something's going to blow your mind, I'll show you something that
Yeah.
I picked up for $40 Australian.
Oh my
And
God.
when I show you, you can tell me whatever you think, but it's going to blow your mind. Watch this, all right? 1963, summer of 1963, mono copy of the first album, The Beatles. You see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
On the back, I'll tell you what it says. It says, to Gary, great listening. John, 2 dots, Liverpool.
Oh my
And
God.
on the bottom where the records are, the songs, there's 3 marks next to Twist and Shout. Now, if that's John's signature, which I can't verify, I've got to get an expert.
Yeah,
I've done it right for $40.
I'll tell you, I work with John Lennon, you know. I worked on the trade ads for John and Apple Records in the beginning of my life. And I can tell you this right now, that looks like his signature.
Well, no one knows, Spencer, but I'm saying for Australian $40, how can I not get that? And someone said,
Take the chance, right?
this might have come out of a radio station, and he signed it at the radio station, or he signed it for a fan. But he's going to go to the trouble of writing to Gary, great listening, or good listening, sorry, John, 3 dots, Liverpool. And I'm crazy not to buy that. You agree, Spence?
Yeah,
that's real or fake. I'll take a chance.
Well, you know, John signed a lot of his artwork, as you well know. I go to a lot of the shows and see a lot of his art. He signed it. You know, he always signed on the bottom a lot of times. Not all the time, but he signed. That looks like his signature. I tell you, it looks like his signature.
Well, all I'm saying is you got to understand, that's the summer of 63. That's the 3rd pressing of this album. It's so heavy, right? They pay $50 for the new stuff. And this is a mono version, right?
Yeah.
3rd pressing. I mean, who's going to go to the trouble of signing John in 1963?
Yeah, man, you had to take the chance, even if it isn't authentic. What's the chances it could also be? So for $40, right. yeah, that's worth going for. It's like, this is insane. Could this possibly be? And plus, it's always a great.
He's going to write John. I've actually looked at the J of his future signature and the O. I love the way the J is, and I love the way the O loops.
Right.
I matched it up with something, but I'm no expert. But Spencer, I had to show this on the show since we're talking. Everyone's a record collector. What's the chance of that coming through your hands at a record shop for $40 Australian?
Well, you know the name John, it looks like a lot of fun when he signs it, and he's a fun guy. That's another thing. The signature sometimes reveals the personality. You know, the signature, it's like John Hancock, you know, or something. But you can see the signature of John looks like a fun thing, the O, right, and the J. And it's
The
not
O's
like,
big.
yeah, so it looks like fun. This is a fun guy, right? And John was a fun person.
So, Spencer, you said you worked with John. What did you do with him?
Originally, it's a great story. I came back from Woodstock with this girl and looking for work, and all of a sudden, I'm going down Fifth Avenue. I'll never forget this. And I'm in ripped jeans. I'm looking for a health food store job, to tell you the truth, anything. And so this guy comes with a three-piece suit, walking down, and I said, he looks familiar, but I can't place it. And he knew who I was. He said, Spencer, you were in those great underground movies in college, and I think you were a designer, which I don't know how he had that, because I was just studying design then. I didn't have a portfolio. Had a great Yale faculty, by the way, where I went. But anyway, he says, and I said, well, okay, what are you working on? And he said, well, I've got the account for Apple Records, working on all the trade ads for Apple. And I'm working on John Lennon's Imagine album now, the trade ads, just the trade ads, which is in print, the print ads. And so, would you like to work with me? And that's how it goes. So I met John and Yoko when they were in the West Village a couple of times. My friend Jeff ended up doing the ads at the end, most of it, but I worked with him on it. So that was the first job I had in music, believe it or not, working on trade ads on one of the biggest albums of his whole life. Imagine, right, of all the albums. And so I should have known then there was some sort of thing going on in my life, which was amazing. And and then I met Justin's mother before I worked with Sire Records. I did a lot of great stuff with the Ramones, Talking Heads, Grammy nominated, but then I meet Justin's mother, and then we winged it on after that to many great packaging. And now Justin is part of our design life, which I'm so happy about. He also helped design the logo for our radio show, which is beautiful, by the way, Indie Cafe too. But Justin has a lot of great design knowledge, and he's a very big tech head. He's a great tech head, by the way. He knows all about tech, right, Jess?
Yeah. So, well, yeah, I like learning. I learned a lot. I learned a lot working from you guys because I'm always, I do for video stuff. I do motion graphics and things, but I feel like, working with people who are more experienced is always interesting to see how they look at, solving these problems and getting to the coolest solutions possible.
Yeah, originally Judith and I were just working as a twosome, but now Judith is sort of like in a part of her life where she wants to deal with overlooking and contribute. But I think Justin will take up the bulk of it with us, and we're very happy about that because working with I know Justin since he was born. Justin, by the way, when he was a little kid, I mean, we're talking about young, he went to all the rock and roll stuff with us. He went to a Kiss party. He met Rick Ocasek on the street with us. He met John Bon Jovi in our studio when he was a little kid. John would play with him in the studio, Bon Jovi. He was brought up in music, and now he plays. He has a bass guitar, and he's had it for years. But
a regular guitar, but yeah.
Yeah, he has a great music knowledge, and he's into vinyl, which we love. Justin's into vinyl. We love that. Yeah.
I mean, growing up as a millennial, as a kid, I just kind of listened to CDs and download stuff. But then, as an adult, I got turntable. It is a whole different way to interface with the music. It kind of you kind of get in a different zone. You're more focused on, you're throwing a record on. It's more engaging. It's kind of sad that that's become a less popular way to listen to music, and it seems to become more and more detached as we go into streaming, and then people it's like something just people have in the background and kind of don't even pay attention to. But I feel like for anyone that really loves music, I feel that's gonna be for a long time that people are gonna be caring about vinyl.
Yeah, what's also interesting is I'm an older guy, of course, way older. But in the days when Justin was younger, and even now, and his sister Ariel, who's a filmmaker, by the way, I would always gravitate to them to find out what is going on now. Because Justin knew about Eddie Trunk before Eddie Trunk became famous now on Sirius XM. And I became friends with Eddie. He has our 45 book, by the way. And Justin told me about Eddie Trunk was this great DJ that started out outside of New York, right, Justin? You told me about him. And
Yeah,
he
they
was
used to have a
cutting
talk
edge.
radio station, WNEW in New York.
Yeah.
He was one of the radio hosts there. Yeah, and I remember hearing, because I would listen to some of our talk shows. I mean, they had like Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez and these like crazy comedy shock jock shows that I would listen to as a teenager. And then when I heard the Eddie Trunk show, I was like, this is Spencer's exact type of show. I knew I was like, Spencer, you gotta listen to the show. I've listened to some of it, and this is your favorite type of music. This guy's playing nonstop.
Yeah, Justin had me pegged, right away. But now Eddie's big time on Sirius. He has a lot of very big interview shows now in music. And but anyway, also Justin had he told me about certain groups, for instance, that I needed to know about. Like, oh God, what's that group, Justin, with the great videos? Les Claypool.
Oh, Primus.
Primus. Oh my God. Justin tells me about Primus. And I said, who the hell's Primus? I turned on MTV. They had the greatest videos, first of all. Their videos are incredible, right, Justin? The concepts were amazing.
Oh,
and then the music, Les Claypool. I mean, the guy is like a Frank Zappa head. The guy is so visionary. And now he did an album with Sean Lennon, who I know, and they did a combo album, which came out, which is a very strange album, by the way. It's not like a commercial album, but a genius, But I learned that through Justin. Justin got me into the world. Plastic, do you have children?
I got to say, Spencer, I've got two sons. One is 30, he's a builder, and then I have my other one, which is 24, and he's a mural artist.
Yeah, he's great,
he's
by the
doing
way.
really
Great
well.
mural artist. I saw his work, like Plastic, correct? But don't you get tips sometimes from your kids? Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Like, what are you listening to, right?
Well, I got to say something. My oldest son got married before COVID, so he had unlimited people could come. We had 500 people. In the first year, I was lucky to see him 2 times that year because he bought a house and he's working hard, paying his mortgage, having a normal life. And now we're really close. He's actually coming over tonight because it's my wife's birthday 2 days ago, but we're going to have a cake here. Now because of COVID, you can have some guests and family over.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
When Justin got married, by the way, he had the greatest music, right, Justin? You put together this he knows all these groups that are I never heard of and they go back into my era, by the way. Some of these psychedelic sound groups and stuff like that are amazing sound. But Justin has a great ear for sound, music.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had the weird idea of like, I'll just DJ my own wedding. And so I just rented out a sound system and hooked up a computer with some DJ software and had some playlists and just kept jumping up and changing things.
Yeah, you got to dig the wedding, Keith and Plastic, because these are with older people, right? We're talking about a lot of older people, and the music is like wild. You know what I mean? It's actually like, I don't know if they could relate to it, Justin. You know what I mean? A lot of this stuff, but great stuff.
Some people did, some people didn't. I mean, there's one of my wife's parents' friends was like, oh man, I have all these albums. This stuff's great. And other people were just looking around like, what is this? Are they gonna play anything I recognize? So
you're right.
Can't please.
Now, I just got to say to everyone, it's been a fantastic show. Spencer, we've done it again. It's been such a pleasure having Keith and Justin on the show. And I just want to say before we go, because we're talking about music, I want everyone to go to YouTube and look up a band called Zoot, Australian band. They did a heavy version of Eleanor Rigby, and I can tell you that rock version of Eleanor Rigby is as good as Eleanor Rigby.
Well, I got to tell you about a group that you brought up, Plastic, but I really like, Angel.
The Angels.
I heard that. I
told you about the band The Angels. They used to open for AC/DC. Have you heard of them?
You got to check out The Angels. You got to check out Keith. Check out The Angels.
This is the British band, right? The Angels?
No, this is the Australian band that used to be under Albert Productions, opening up for AC/DC. And what they did is they left Albert Productions in Sydney, left AC/DC as the opening act, went out on their own, and they were playing somewhere overseas. And they were opening for a big band, and the big band said, don't put them on because they're better than us. They're called The Angels. Look them up on iTunes. They've got documentaries, right? I'll give you some of their songs. She Keeps No Secrets, for example.
Yeah.
You've got to go to iTunes and look at the 40 greatest hits of The Angels. AC/DC is the greatest band. No mistake. Worldwide
fame,
I love
them.
Worldwide everything. They're on a different par. But when it comes to songwriting, you've got to hear The Angels.
Did the Angels have an album called "The Angels from Angel City"?
They've
They've been around like 20 some years, right? The Angels.
been around since the 70s.
So I do know who you're talking about. I have heard,
Wow.
but I thought they were from Britain for some reason. I didn't know they were from Australia.
Yeah, from Australia.
No, you got to check out the Angels. She keeps no secrets. You got to hear the song. She keeps no secrets from you. Like you just, it blows my mind, Spencer. Seriously,
Well,
they are like
yeah.
the greatest, and the lead singer's passed away.
I really love that group. You told me about him. I listened to him. I said, "Oh my God, this is a really great group. I mean, this is really good music." And on top of it, which really makes it, Albert Production picked them up. Now, if they picked them up, they must have known something, right? Plastic. I mean, that's the other thing. That's great, you know.
They spent time with them and they nurtured them, and then they let them go by themselves in the studio to come up with their sound and their songs. Some of the best documentaries on the Angels. Go to YouTube and you'll see Australia. You can't miss it. But anyway, getting back to the show, as I said, it's been fantastic, this show. Another great show, and I'm so glad I could keep that John album as a surprise, right? But
Oh
as I
yeah,
said,
that is a good one. I like that trivia. It's good trivia. And
it's
I'll
blown
tell
my
you,
mind since we're all record collectors. And then, as I said, before we go, have a look at this, how great this is. This is a standout, everyone. Go out, don't wait. Go buy the vinyl, go buy the CD. And look, you don't even have to say anything. You only have to see the image and just pay your money and get it.
yeah, it's a great album. It really is a great album, and we wish Keith Cook
Well
the best.
done.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.